The Atlanta Braves sweep a doubleheader on Wednesday and win the series in Detroit, but concern grows after another rough outing for Spencer Strider. We'll break it all down on today's episode of Locked On Braves, so let's get into it.
You are Locked On Braves, your daily Atlanta Braves podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, welcome back to Locked On Braves, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta, where we cover your favorite Atlanta sports teams each and every day. I am your host, Jacob Mastriani. You can follow me on Twitter at ShortstopBall. Also, make sure you check out my written work over at BravesToday.com. Make sure you follow the podcast on Twitter at LockedOn_Braves. Send in any questions, comments, or feedback that you have for the podcast. As always, if you're new on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. If you're watching there, do me a favor, hit that thumbs up button as well to help support the show. And thank you so much for all the support that you give me here on Locked On Braves, allowing me to do this with you each and every day. On today's episode, we're going to break down Wednesday's doubleheader sweep. Spend a lot of time talking about Spencer Strider, who had another rough outing, what maybe some of the causes could be there and what's going on with him. Some good things offensively to talk about as well. And the bullpen was great too. So we'll discuss all of that, and then we'll go through the league on our Through the League Thursday segment, where the Atlanta Braves have created some separation in the NL East over the past week, and we'll take a look at some of the league leaders as well, and then set you up for Thursday's game, which it starts a 4-game series with the Braves and the Rockies. Before we do that, though, let me tell you about eBay Motors. A championship team is about each player being a perfect fit. Same with your vehicle. So for parts that fit, head to eBay Motors and look for the green check. Stay in the game with eBay Guaranteed Fit, ebaymotors.com. Let's ride. eBay Guaranteed Fit, only available to U.S. customers. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. It was a doubleheader sweep in Detroit on Wednesday in a series win. And it may not have felt like one, but it was. The Braves come out of Detroit, batted, bruised, everything. It felt like a really rough one for Atlanta in Detroit. They really had to fight to win these games, but they did. And that's, at the end of the day, what you want to accomplish. And the Braves, right there, the best record in the National League right now, with the Phillies taking down the Diamondbacks. Phillies are hot right now. We're talking about that in our Thursday Through the League segment. But the Atlanta Braves, top team in the National League. They've created separation in the NL East. They are a really, really good team, and it feels like there could be more. I'm not trying to be overly critical of this team in this episode. I hope that's not the point. And it just feels like there's still so much more room for growth, and there are some serious concerns. And look, one thing I never want to do is tell you how to be a fan of your team. If you want to freak out, if you want to talk about the concerns, then let's do it and let's have a conversation. I may tell you why maybe you shouldn't be freaking out, and you may tell me that as well. But I'm never going to be one of those people to try to tell you how to be a fan. You enjoy the game the way that you want to. But I will say there are some concerns with this team right now that I think are worth talking about and mentioning, even as good as they are. And we can all realize they're going to be a good team. They are a good team. They have the best record in the National League. But there are still some signs and some things going on right now that I think need to be discussed for the future of this team and them reaching their ultimate goal of winning a World Series. But ultimately, you look at how the season has played out, and a lot of the guys in the bullpen haven't pitched the way you would have hoped. Spencer Strider, outside of April or after April, hasn't been the starter you wanted him to be. Max Fried has been out for a lot of the year. Kyle Wright's been out for a lot of the year. Austin Riley and Matt Olson have both gone in long cold spells throughout parts of the season. And yet the Braves still have the best record in the National League. I think a lot of that goes to the fact that this is a very deep roster, as we talked about coming in. There's a lot of talent here, and you have other guys who can pick up the slack, and they have the best player on the planet, and Ronald Acuna Jr. had a big day on Wednesday. But I want to talk about Spencer Strider here, really kind of set all that up, because I want to start out talking about a negative, and that is Spencer Strider. Another rough outing after his worst outing of his big league career. He follows that up with another really bad outing. 5 innings, 7 hits, 2 walks, a hit batter, 5 home runs, 6 strikeouts, 3 home runs allowed. And you now look at the last 9 starts for Spencer Strider. Like I said, after April was really good in April, but since then, 48 and 2/3 innings, 30 runs allowed, earned runs allowed. It's a 5.56 ERA. Something is not quite right. I don't know. I'm not smart enough to figure out exactly what it is. I'll give you some of my guesses here in a minute, and I'm sure some of you in the comment section will have your thoughts as well. But one thing I do know about Spencer Strider, he's going to figure it out. Long term, I have no concerns about Spencer Strider. I think he's going to figure this out, and he's going to become that dominant Cy Young type pitcher again that we're accustomed to seeing. But truth be told, let's put it out there right now. Something is off. He is not right at this moment. He is not that guy right now. He's pitching more like a 5.5 ERA guy instead of a Cy Young contender. Again, he'll figure it out. He's too good. He's too smart not to. But at this moment in time, Spencer Strider has not been great. And let's be honest, he hasn't even been good. And he admitted as much after the game. He said he's not pitching well enough to give his team a chance to win. He's becoming a liability right now for his team. And that's, honest. And it's honestly true. If not for the offensive exploits of this team in his last 2 outings, we may be talking even more about the struggles of Spencer Strider. Again, he's going to figure it out. I do truly believe that, but he's in a really, really rough patch right now. 8 earned last time out, 5 earned this time against Detroit lineup, 3 home runs given up. Here are some of my guesses as to what's going on based on what I'm seeing. And I've been saying this for over a month now. Even when he was still pitching somewhat okay, the command just has not been there this year a lot of times. Again, even when I thought when he was throwing the ball well, I still, to me, looked at times like he just didn't have the command. It was more control over command. 9.3% walk rate this year. That's just up 1% from last year. So that's not a huge spike, but more concerning than that is the fact that he's just missing over the plate a lot. And we'll talk about that here more in a second with the home runs given up. But you can just clearly see he's not living on the edges with those fastballs or right at the top of the zone. He's missing more middle of the plate, and he's getting hit really hard when he does that. And that kind of leads to the next thing here. And this is what a lot of people are pointing to. And there's debate out there on Twitter, and that's fine. But the velocity is down. I mean, you can't deny it. From last year to this year, it's down. You can say, in April, it's pretty much the same velocity as it is now. The one argument I'll make against that is, yes, he's been averaging, more around 96, 97 this year for the entire year, even when he was good in April. But one thing that has stood out really from the get-go this season is you're not seeing a lot of those 98, 99, even 100 like he had last year. It doesn't feel like he has that in his back pocket anymore when he needs it. Early in the year in April, I did think it was there at times. It felt like he would reach back, get to 98, 99 when he needed it. But especially over this rough stretch he's had, it just feels like we're seeing a lot less 98, 99s, and it's really just more 96, 97 consistently, which, again, that's what his average has been all year long. It's been around that. It still is down a mile per hour from last year. The spin rate on it, which was one thing maybe that concerned me with the velocity being down some, that maybe the spin rate on it was down, but that's not the case. He still is, tops in the league in fastball spin rate, and the spin rate's actually gone up on the fastball this year. On Wednesday, it was back down to where his average was last year, but still the spin rate doesn't seem to be an issue. Again, the only thing I can really point out on the velocity is that he just doesn't seem to have that high velocity when he needs it, like he did a lot of times even early this year, but not even quite as much as he did last year. It just felt like it was there for him last year. He needed a big strikeout in a 2-strike situation. It just felt like he reached back for a little more and could hit 99. The highest pitch he threw on Wednesday was 97.9 miles per hour. So look, we can have an argument about the velocity if you want to. I still don't think it's the main concern. I think the command is the main concern, but the velocity is down somewhat. And I think that has to add a little bit into the issues he's having. And you look at the home runs he's given up this year, 12 home runs given up, 10 of them on the fastball. And a lot of them, most of them are on 96, 97 mile per hour fastballs. Now, again, goes back to the command. Almost all of them are middle up, middle in, middle down. A lot of them are over the middle of the plate. You look at the strike zone, and a lot of them either right down the middle, either up or down, or they're over the middle, in or away. He's missing over the heart of the plate far too much. You're not seeing, a lot of it in the corners of the strike zone or even on the edges. 2 of the home runs he's given up were out of the zone. One was Hayward, who just got to a neck high fastball somehow and drilled it out. And the one that he gave up to Miggy on Wednesday, where Miggy was just clearly sitting first pitch fastball, got one in off the plate and was able to pull it out. So again, my 2 biggest concerns with him, first of all, I just think it's mainly the command. Second of all, I do think the velocity is down a tick, and that's allowing hitter to catch up a little bit easier with 96 miles per hour opposed to 98, 99, which just doesn't seem to be there as often this season. Maybe he needs to throw that changeup more. Threw it 14 times on Wednesday, which was well above his career or his season average of just using that pitch 6% in a game. So perhaps he is trying to work that in a little bit more. One thing Peter Moylan noted during the podcast is that teams seem to be stacking up righties against him. And I think that plays into the fact that he's only thrown one changeup all year to righties. So when righties are in there, he really is a 2-pitch pitcher. And if he doesn't have the command of that slider, which has eluded him at times this year, and you can just sit on the fastball and you're missing over the middle of the plate with it, and it's more down to 95, 96 instead of 97, 98, 99, then I think that's going to lead to more hard hit balls and more home runs. So I think you're seeing that a lot this year, and that's running into a lot of issues for Spencer Strider. I mean, the fastball overall in general, you look at the stats, everything's pretty much the same. The hard hit rate, the whiff rate, all of that is pretty much the same, but the slugging percentage has shot way up. And again, I think that goes a lot to the command, missing over the middle of the plate with it more with 96 miles an hour, and it's getting hit a lot harder. Now, that was a lot on Spencer Strider. I do want to talk about some of the other things from the doubleheader on Wednesday. Ron Acuna Jr., 4 hits on the day, 2 home runs, 2 walks, 3 runs, 4 RBI, and a stolen base. I thought the 2-run homer in that first game was huge because you had the blown lead in game 1 on Monday. Spencer Strider gives up 4 runs, and you're down 4-0 in game 2. And the first game of a doubleheader, it just felt like everything was down at that point. And then Acuna hits that 2-run homer, gets him right back in the game. They come back and win and end up sweeping the doubleheader. So I thought that was a huge moment in the day, the doubleheader. Ron Acuna Jr. with that home run, his first of 2 of the day. He's amazing. I don't have to say anything else about him. Michael Harris, he's also amazing, and we're starting to see it now. A 4-hit game in the first game. He did go over 4 in the second game with no hard hit balls, but still we're seeing him really start to heat up. That average well over 200 now, which is great to see. So love to see him continuing that hot streak. And then the bullpen, which blew the game on Monday, but had really been great up until that point. They had to cover 9 innings. Half of the innings of the doubleheader on Wednesday they had to cover, and they were great except for 2 guys. We'll touch on them in a second. But 9 innings, 8 hits, all of those came in the first game. 1 walk, just 2 earned runs, and 10 strikeouts from the bullpen on Wednesday. Colin McHugh, the biggest of them all. He's figured something out. His stuff was not good early in the year. He was kind of getting away with it, but he's really been good here lately, especially in June. 8 2/3 innings, 6 hits, no walks, 1 earned, and 8 strikeouts. 3 innings, big innings on Wednesday. No hits, no walks, no earned, and 4 strikeouts. So great to see Colin McHugh getting back to his self. Yates had a clean inning after Jesse Chavez had to leave suddenly with an injury after taking a comebacker off the leg. Joe Jimenez with an inning and 2/3, a clean innings on in the second game on just 13 pitches. If those 2 guys can get going, it's going to be huge for this bullpen, especially if we're going to see some regression from Nick Anderson, which I've touched on, and there was an article on FanGraphs talking about that as well. Anderson and Iglesias combined to give up 6 hits, 1 walk, and 2 earned runs in the first game of this doubleheader. They both were really bad in this series overall. You got to get Iglesias right, and honestly, he was really good in between that start in Oakland where it was really cold. He had no command of his pitches. The velocity was down 3 miles per hour. It's clearly affecting him there. In between that outing and what we saw in Detroit on Monday and then again on Wednesday, he was really good. So it's kind of just been a couple of hiccups here and there overall, but still would love to see more consistency out of your closer. Every fan would, every team would. But still, great work overall from the bullpen. Great work from Harris in the 9 spot and Acuna in the top spot in this doubleheader sweep for the Braves. Next, we'll take you through the league where the Braves, with the wins they had this past week, were able to create some space in the NL East despite a couple of hot teams in the Marlins and the Phillies. We'll touch on that next. In the world we live in today, a lot of us work from home. I work from home, and I love to always feel good and feel comfortable when I'm working from home. And that's why I'm so glad that Birddogs sent me a pair of shorts that I could try out. And I've hardly taken them off since then, because not only do they feel good, fit good, but I look good as well. When I take the kids to school in the morning, I no longer look like a class clown coming up in my gym shorts. I now have on a pair of Birddogs who feel just as great as my gym shorts, but they look good too. So that makes me feel much better about myself when I go out, whether I got to go to the store, whatever it is. You can wear them at any occasion. You're going to the golf course, to put on a pair of Birddogs. You'll look good, feel good. And like I said before, they have a nice lining inside that keeps you cool, which is great for me living in the deep south in the summer. Go to birddogs.com/LockedOnMLB. Enter promo code LockedOnMLB for a free Yeti style tumbler with your order. That's birddogs.com/LockedOnMLB for a free Yeti style tumbler. You won't want to take your Birddogs off, we promise you. Buying tickets to your favorite events shouldn't be stressful, and it's not when you use Gametime, which is a fast and easy way to buy tickets for all sports, music, comedy, and theater near you. They have great deals on last-minute tickets and their best price guarantee, so you can stop stressing over the tickets and start getting excited for all the fun you're going to have. I can tell you from personal experience, I've used Gametime last minute. It's got the cheapest tickets, and it was a very stress-free experience. Forget planning months in advance. Gametime has deals on tickets right up to the day of the event. The Gametime guarantee means you'll always get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Gametime will credit you 110% of the difference. Get images of your seat before you buy. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your purchase. Listen to this. You're buying tickets this year. You might as well try out the Gametime app and get $20 off. Again, that's download the Gametime app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Terms apply. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Braves start a 4-game series with the Rockies on Thursday at 7:20 p.m. Eastern. It's A.J. Smith-Shawver. He'll try to follow up on a good first start against this Rockies team. Catch every pitch of the Braves' hometown broadcast with SiriusXM on the SXM app. Search Braves. It's our Thursday through the league segment. Going to take you division by division and talk about some of the top leaders around Major League Baseball. We'll start, as we always do, in the NL East, where the Braves are 42-26, 4.5 games up on the Marlins, who did get a win over the Mariners on a Wednesday night. Both of those teams have been hot. So have the Phillies. They're 8.5 games back. They got a big win in extra innings against the Diamondbacks. They had a good series there. They're 8-2 in their last 10, but still 8.5 games back of the Braves, who are also 8-2 in their last 10 games. The Mets, 32-36, 10 games back. It's just 2-8 in their last 10 games. Rough times over there for the New York Metropolitans. And the Nationals, 26-40, 15 games back. They're also 2-8 in their last 10 games, like the Mets. Division standings around the league: raise up 5 games on the Orioles in the AL East and just 1 win away from getting to 50 wins on the year. They did just lose 2 to the A's. We feel you. We know what that's like. Twins up 3 games on the Guardians in the AL Central. The Rangers are up 3.5 games on the Astros in the AL West. Pirates back on top in the NL Central. 1 game up on Milwaukee, who has lost 6 straight. That NL Central division, it is a mess. The Reds are just 2.5 back, and with Elly De La Cruz up, man, they're an exciting team to watch. Would really love to see them take off in that NL Central. The Cardinals are right there with the Nats for the worst record in the NL. You want to talk about teams who have struggled this year and sorely disappointed? That Cardinals team is a mess. We are not used to seeing that from that franchise. Diamondbacks on top in the NL West by 2.5 games over the Dodgers. Dodgers are just 4-6 in their last 10 games. MLB.com's power rankings from June the 11th. They have the Rays on top, as they have been pretty much all year. And then the Rangers, Braves, Orioles, Diamondbacks, Astros, Yankees, Blue Jays, Twins. Those are your top 10 in the power rankings. Marlins just outside the top 10 at 11. And then the Angels right there at 12. It'll be fun to see them get in the postseason with Trout and Ohtani. Now, your league leaders. Last week, I went with your basic stats, your average, OPS, all of that. This week, going to go with some more analytical stats. We're going to start with WAR leaders because Corbin Carroll, 3.5 WAR, leads all of baseball. This is FanGraphs WAR that I'm going off of. Freddie Freeman is second at 3.2. Wander Franco and Ronald Acuna Jr. are also there at 3.2. And then Mookie Betts and Sean Murphy both are at 3 WAR. So you got 2 Braves there in the top 5. WRC plus Aaron Judge, 188. Unfortunately, on the IL right now. Yordan Alvarez, 167. Carroll, 166. Freeman, 165. And Yandy Diaz for the Rays, 164. Ronald is 7th at 156. And Murphy is 10th at 148. And I want to look at hits leaders. It's all about getting hits. Can you get the hits? Bo Bichette actually leads baseball in 92 hits. I should mention these were stats coming into the day on Wednesday. But Bo Bichette, 92 hits, leading all of Major League Baseball coming into Wednesday's action. Luis Ariz, who you would have thought was leading the league in hits, has 91. Freeman at 89, Acuna at 88. And then I was surprised, Nick Castellanos at 83. He's there in the top 5 in hits. So you look at the MVP race right now in the National League, it's Corbin Carroll, Freddie Freeman, Ronald Acuna Jr. right there, neck and neck. Obviously, I think it's Ronald with what he does all over, but Corbin Carroll making a case. Was watching the game Wednesday night, and the fans there chanting MVP for him. He's having an incredible rookie season. On the pitching side of things, looking at xFIP, what takes in, defense, ballpark factors, all of that. Kevin Gausman, 2.73. Again, I'll mention these were stats coming into Wednesday, so it's not accounting for Wednesday's game, but Strider was still second. Even after that tough outing in New York, he was second in xFIP at 2.83. Framber Valdez, 2.86. Clayton Kershaw, 2.97. He's having a really good season. Logan Webb, 2.98. Strikeout percentage, Spencer Strider, 40%. Listen to this. The second place in strikeout percentage is Ohtani at 33.3%. Again, it's so strange with Spencer Strider seeing him struggle like this because he still has that dominant type stuff. You're still seeing him with over 15 whiffs per game. It's just crazy. It's there. Something, I think it's mechanical, has to change. But I don't think he's far off. And again, I think he's going to figure it out. Gausman, 33.2% strikeout percentage. Kershaw, 30.3. Man, is he having a renaissance season there for the Dodgers. Luis Castillo, 30% strikeout rate. And then innings pitched. Who's your workhorses? Who's getting it done this year? Logan Webb, 91.1 innings so far this year for the Giants. Aaron Nola, 88 innings. Shane Bieber, 87.2 innings. Mitch Keller of the Pirates, 87 innings. And then Nathan Eovaldi and Kevin Gausman at 86.2 innings. The Braves have 3 guys in Morton, Elder, and Strider who are all in that 70 to 76 inning range this year. But those are your workhorses for the season. As far as news around the league, the A's had a reverse boycott on Tuesday where they packed the stadium over 27,000, which is just a normal Tuesday at Truist Park, but still was big for that A's team. But it sounds like things are still progressing towards the team moving to Las Vegas, was what it sounds like as the latest news on Wednesday. Shohei Ohtani is crazy good, and I just wanted to say that because he continues to hit home runs. It seems like every night he's pitching on Thursday night, so you may want to tune in and watch that. Again, he's just incredible. I think you have to take a step back, just enjoy the ride for what he's doing right now. We've never seen it before. Unfortunate news, Lance McCullers Jr., starting pitcher for the Astros, out for the season, as is Kansas City first baseman Vinny Pasquantino. They are both done for the year, so hate to hear that. Some tough injury news there. All right, next we'll set you up for Thursday night's game. AJ Smith-Shawver ready to take the mound for his second start of the season. We'll discuss that next. Did have a couple of scares injury-wise in Detroit this week. Marcell Ozuna got hit on the wrist. He returned to the second game of the doubleheader on Wednesday, so that's great to see. Looks like the Braves avoided one there. And then Jesse Chavez took one off the shin. It looked bad. He could not even get up or put any weight on that leg after he got hit. Looked like maybe it was going to be a fracture, something bad there. Initial x-rays are negative, and they're just calling it a contusion or a bruise on the shin. Hopefully that's all it is. I'm sure they'll get some further testing, but scary situation there. Jesse Chavez has been a revelation himself and one of the biggest, key guys in that bullpen. Do not want to lose him. Hopefully it's nothing serious there. I'm sure he'll be out a couple of days while that heals up, but it seems like the Braves have avoided a couple of really serious injuries for a couple of key guys in that Detroit series. On Thursday night, it'll be A.J. Smith-Shawver versus Kyle Freeland. For A.J. Smith-Shawver in this one, I just want to see him get a little better. I mean, not that he was bad in his first outing against the Nationals, but again, I just think there's more in the tank there, and I'm sure there were some nerves and all of that going on. So see him take a step forward in his next big league start. A couple of things going for him in this one. The Rockies are 27th in OPS on the road and 20th in average. They're also 30th last in all of baseball in home runs on the road this season. You do have to look at those home road splits when you're talking about the Rockies, and they have not been a very good offensive team on the road. They also have the 8th most strikeouts in baseball and the 5th fewest walks. So all of that points to hopefully the Brave starters having a lot of success in this series, but I thought they'd have a lot of success against the Tigers, who had the worst OPS in all of baseball coming into that series, and we saw how that played out. But this is a good opportunity for A.J. Smith-Shawver and the Braves as well to hopefully have some success against an offense that isn't very good outside of Coors Field. So looking for A.J. Smith-Shawver to take another step forward on Thursday night. Braves will be going up against Kyle Freeland. Gave up 5 earned on 3 home runs in a start at Arizona on May 30th, but just 3 earned runs in his last 2 starts since then. He is left-handed. He doesn't strike out a lot of batters. He's actually been worse on the road this year than he's been at Coors Field. So hopefully those are all good things for the Braves offense. Austin Riley hit a home run off of him last year. Maybe this is a chance for Austin Riley to get going. We know how well the Braves hit lefties, especially those who don't big power pitchers that don't strike out a lot of batters. So it seems like a good matchup for this Braves lineup. Hopefully they can put a bunch of runs on the board in support of the young A.J. Smith-Shawver. The Braves start that 4-game series with the Rockies on Thursday night at 7:20 p.m. Eastern. Again, it's A.J. Smith-Shawver versus Kyle Freeland. Catch every pitch of the Braves' hometown broadcast with SiriusXM on the SXM app. Search Braves. That will do it for this episode of Locked On Braves. Thanks so much for making us your first listen of each and every day. If you are an everydayer, let me know down in the comment section below. If you are new to the podcast, make sure you subscribe on Twitter at LockedOn_Braves. We'll have our mailbag episode on Friday, so you can get ready to submit the questions for that. Make sure you follow me at ShortstopBall. Make sure that you rate, review, and subscribe to the Locked On Braves podcast wherever you get your podcast, and we will talk to you next time.